Good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast with me. It's a beautiful day out there. It rained enough to get the grass green, and now it's sunny. Hey, Paul, I see you in here, and I am totally feeling bad. Well, I don't feel bad because I'm just busy, but I know I got to get back to you. I've been meaning to read that thing. If that's still something you need me to read, let me know in the chat. Yeah, Neil, read the damn thing. And I'll get you feedback. I've got some time today because I have no business meetings. I got all the training and a lot of project time I'm doing. So love to help out. I'm excited everybody's here. I want to get started in just a second with the depth of the dive or the training, but I want to start with just a tip for success for those of you showing up early and on time. I really appreciate it when you do. And here's my tip for you. Hit the bell notification on a LinkedIn profile so that you want to follow. So if you go to my profile, for example, and this selfish plug for you to do it for me, but if you go to my profile, up underneath my banner to the right of the picture of my picture, or the right side of the screen, you'll see a bell notification. And LinkedIn changes what it does at different points, but hit it until it says, notify me of all things that this person does. So you want to be notified of everything I do that I post, events, documents, etc. And then you can decide to not look at a particular post when it comes into your feed. What you don't want LinkedIn doing is to send you only what it thinks is the top post, because that is based more on, let's say, how many people engage it. But what if not many people are engaging something you would find highly valuable and they don't, right? So it's better to find somebody like me and hit the bell notification. I'm actually renewing my effort on that even this week, and this is September 2024. I'm renewing that effort into the federal government space. I'm following different leaders within the government, actual agency folks that I know that I can learn from and share. Okay, Paul, I'll read the thing. Anyways, I know I like, I know I can find content that they have. And if I follow them and hit the bell notification, LinkedIn will push it to me. And then when I see something I think you'll like, I can push it your way. So for all of us, just hit the bell notification, especially do it on me. If you're coming to this training, you want to be notified of the stuff I do. I don't put any fluff out. And so hit that bell notification on my LinkedIn profile. That's just a quick tip for those of you showing up early and on time as we get started here on a holiday. I love the fact that it's a holiday and people are like, oh, you're having training on a holiday. It's like, why not? Entrepreneurs work 24/7, 365, right? And ironically, not ironically, but I got 10-year-olds. So for me to work during the middle of the day on the holiday, it's this or I go play Fortnite with my kids. And I don't like Fortnite. It's boring. As much action as it is. Okay, let me dive into the training. If you want to learn how federal contract opportunities or learn about finding federal contract opportunities that you can win, then this training is definitely for you. I teach my 7-step process for federal revenue success. And those steps are research, targeting, outreach, lead to relationships, opportunities, sales, or proposals and sales, right? And today we're going to be diving into the opportunities portion of the 7-step process. And this is finding contract opportunities that your company can win and pursue in 2025 to win, right? So FY 2025 starts next month. And it's really important to me that you've got a good sales pipeline that's lined up with that will lead to the revenue goals you have. One tip, though, keep in mind that this training I'm doing, it's advanced training. Let me just change my slides here. It's advanced training, right, for finding contracts you can win. If you don't have any federal revenue, the training is still good for you, but don't pursue the contract as a prime. I am not one of those people who think that you should prime contract when you're just getting started in government contracting. That's not the path to success. All of us make the wrong choice and make this mistake in the beginning. Me too, with my companies, like, I'm going to prime. But the best path for you is to find opportunities the way I'm going to tell you today, and then go find a prime contractor you can team with. I mean, potentially you can find them in this very networking environment. So as we move forward, keep that in mind. So I'm going to break up into 4 sections, how to find contracts in 2025 that you can win, right? And so these are the opportunities you want to be putting in your pipeline. First thing I just want to share is, why is it important to even be thinking about this? Why is it important to find contracts and get them into your pipeline now? The second thing I want to talk about is what contracts you should be looking for. You don't want to be putting everything into your pipeline. And so I want to give you this high level criteria. The next thing, third bullet here, is I want to give you step by step my process for searching for these very contracts that I'm talking about, right? If I want to find contracts that I can put into my 2025 sales pipeline, this is the process I will follow. And I think it's like 6, 7 steps I'll show you. And then I'm going to actually end up with doing it for real. I want to go in to the websites and I want to show you exactly how I do this. This is not conceptual. This is tactical. I'm teaching with skill. I'm teaching you the how, and your job is to then go practice it so it delivers for you what you want it to deliver. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, co-founder of GovCon in a Box, and I want to welcome you to my federal sales training where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years in the federal market as a small business owner, and since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we have repeatable, predictable results, and this is what I want for you. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the Government Contracting Success newsletter. This is our newsletter. It's an exciting newsletter of government contracting sales and that 7-step process I talked about. What we put into the newsletter follows along those 7 steps in the process. Last thing on this slide, we've got training all week. Tomorrow's training is Capture Process for Small Businesses. And really, it's designed to teach you how do I pursue or push an opportunity through the sales life cycle. So once you find an opportunity, what I'm going to teach you today, how do you push that through the sales life cycle towards a proposal and trying to win it? I want to congratulate the 100 clubs. This 100 clubs are coming from the GovCon in a Box. This is our AI-powered SaaS platform that's designed to help small businesses, in this particular case with this one tool, understand their federal visibility score. Your federal visibility score is just how visible are you to the federal buyers. When they go looking on their own tools, can they find you? There's 360,000 small businesses that are registered to sell to the federal government. 57 of them are in the 100 club, meaning they have a score of 100 out of 100. 80% of those businesses have a score less than 70, meaning virtually invisible. So go to GovCon in a Box, check out your score. It's free, it's quick, no demo or anything. You just dive right into it. And I provide you training tips on how to get it done. Quick reminder to just Betsy Eco Hub. They got like this prime spot of the 50th company to hit a 100 score. But sometimes when you hit 100, you have to stay up there. And otherwise you can come down for a second because I make it hard for you to be at 100. You got to keep your profile up to date. So they just dropped down. I sent them a message already, but I think I'm going to try to communicate as long as I can through here to just give you a reminder. I'm going to make sure any company that we see hits the 100 club stays on the 100 club. Even if you come down, we'll push you back up on there because we're here for your success. All right, let's dive into the importance of finding contracts for your pipeline and why it's important to do it now, right? We're in September 2024, which is the end of fiscal year 2024, and the beginning of fiscal year 2025 is next month. We want to make sure you have pipeline opportunities in your pipeline that will drive towards your success. You have revenue goals, sales goals, et cetera. Well, you're not going to achieve any of them if you don't have a full pipeline and a pipeline that's sufficiently full. So the first thing I want to talk about is there's 3 types of contracts that I track on. When I'm looking for this exercise and I'm looking for opportunities that are out there that I can serve, there's new opportunities. What this means is it's a new requirement the government has. It's not a previous contract. And so it's coming out. Then there's recompete, meaning last year we had IT help desk services, and we're going to have the exact same thing this year. We're recompeting it. And then the third one is consolidated contracts. This is where they have IT help desk and maybe network engineering, 2 separate contracts, and they're saying, hey, we're going to combine them into one separate or one combined contract. That's consolidation of these 2 contracts, not big consolidation, but just, for the convenience of the government, they're trying to put it together. The reason this is important is because even though it seems like it's new, it's a recompete of those 2 into this new one. And there's some advantage to consolidation. If I was pursuing contracts, expiring contracts that are being recompeted pretty much the same, those are the best ones and that have the most chance of winning. Whether I win it or not is a separate question, but it's definitely the biggest thing for me is there's a schedule and there's a really good chance I can predict when that contract would start. Consolidation is the next best one I'm looking for, and new contracts are the third best. They're the least favorite to me, even though they're very attractive in the scope. I look at it, oh, well, that's really good. I can do that stuff. The problem with new contracts, in my experience, is that new contracts slip to the right, meaning sometimes it can go months away from when you thought it was going to drop or come out, or it could even go years. And that's acceptable when you've got a good amount of other business. And so make sure you have a pipeline that has a solid baseline of recompete or consolidated, right? These expiring contracts. And then you can pursue the new things. But don't make the new contracts your priority effort. Otherwise, you'll find them slipping and you miss all your revenue goals. So I put here, expiring contracts are more likely to be awarded, right? Because the government has already funded it for 5 years or the last 20 years, and they're just every 5 years they're kind of recompeting it. So another reason you really want to be tracking on the importance of contracts in your pipeline now is because opportunities opportunities going into your pipeline, they lead to sales. And when you pursue sales and win sales in 2024, as we're wrapping up the next 4 months and going into early 2025, those opportunities and sales you're winning are going to lead to the very revenue that you can predict for 2025 through 2030, right? So some of the contracts you win at the end of next year, if you're winning it and they're starting at the end of the next year, they could go all the way out to 2030 if you're getting 5-year contracts. And so I tend to teach around IT and professional services contracts, which tend to be 5-year period of performances. And so it's a big deal. You want to be looking at these sales goals and this sales activity that come from the opportunities in your pipeline and seeing them as revenue in the out year. Enough pipeline value is going to lead to that predictable revenue, right? So in order for you to have revenue, you have to have sales. In order to have sales, you have to have opportunities in your pipeline. And you have to have a sufficient amount of opportunities in your pipeline to be able to write a sufficient amount of proposals going out the door. I do a whole separate training on how do you know what the numbers are: revenue number, sales number, proposal number, pipeline number, right? This pipeline total contract value. Let's say you're trying to earn $100 million in sales. We need $1 billion, let's say, in the pipeline. Those are really loose numbers. I didn't even bother trying to do the numbers. My point is it's much bigger number in the sales pipeline because not everything moves forward. It's a much bigger number here than it is in the sale. And then sales predict the revenue. The last thing, the reason it's important to find contracts for your pipeline now is that it's the difference between being proactive and reactive. If you think about the typical way sometimes we hear about opportunities, especially if you just listen to the government, they're like, wait for SAM and you can look in SAM. It's like, come on, man, you're killing me. It's like, we all know that once it's in SAM, it's too late. It's not totally too late, right? But it is not the best time to be hearing about it. Anywhere left is better. We call it shifting left in the sales life cycle. Any salesperson will teach you this. Shift left, get in earlier in the sales life cycle, and you're going to have success. So FPDS, what I'm going to teach you today about finding contracts that can fit into your pipeline, that's a proactive approach to sales compared to waiting for it to hit SAM is reactive. Even if it hits SAM as an RFI, it's still reactive. You're reacting to the government doing stuff compared to getting a jump on their acquisition lifecycle by getting started. So that's kind of why it's important. Let's talk about what contracts you should look for. And I'm going to blow through this really quick because I want to get to the website and show you actual contracts and what I do. But the first type of, and these are my way of doing it. And I'm not saying this is industry standard. I'm saying this works for me, and it works really well for the hundreds and hundreds of people I teach. Expiring contracts is a normal way of doing business in the federal market. And anybody who knows anything will tell you. Anybody who doesn't know anything, we all tell you that expiring contracts is good. What I want you to pay attention to is don't look at expiring contracts that are expiring within 6 months. Look at ones that are 6 months and out. These are two different sales activities or efforts. Inside of 6 months, you're a lot more reactive and things are moving a lot faster. Outside of 6 months, you give yourself so much more room to be doing true sales and capture in there. This ability to shape an opportunity in your favor is increases when you give yourself enough time. So I say 6 months out from today, this will allow you to really predict sales going out forward. You know, it's a different training for me to tell you how to win inside the 6 months. So the first thing I look for in contracts are I'm looking for ones that I wish I had won. Really sometimes, oh man, ones I had won. I hate mistakes. But anyways, what I look for is sometimes I participate and I lose a contract. I'm like, okay, I'm putting that on my radar. I'm coming back again next time. Other times you just see it in FPDS or USA Spending. You're like, oh, I wish I had won that one. You hear it on some of the newsletters or articles coming out on LinkedIn or wherever. You're like, oh, that was a good contract. I wish I had won that. That's what you want, because these theoretically are slam dunk opportunities. Slam dunk opportunities are ones that your company can guarantee do. You know you can do it. You know when you write a proposal, the government will know you can do it. Whether you win it just comes down to how many qualified companies show up. But you want to make sure you're finding opportunities. When they look, the government goes, wow, we could easily award it to that company. They're that good. So then the other thing you want to be looking for is contracts that are on your contract vehicle. So if you got a GSA schedule, go out there and find contracts that are being awarded on that. Seaport Next Gen, Oasis, whatever it is, look for the contract vehicles you have, and then look for expiring contracts on that, because you don't have to convince the contracting officer to use that vehicle. You might have to talk to them and see if they're going to go that direction, whole separate training. But if they used it once, the likelihood of them using it again is better. I was having a conversation with GSA the other day, and they were talking about increasing the use of their vehicles. And I said to them, don't go try to convince agencies that aren't using GSA schedules to use it more as a benefit to the contract holders. Just go to the ones that are already using it and encourage them to use it twice as much. And it's a real eye-opener when you understand you want to go to the people who are already doing what you want them to do and encourage them to do more of it, rather than convincing people who aren't using your contract vehicle to start using that. Another thing you should look for is, and these last three are really related to the businesses that are in there. So one thing I look for is incumbents, usually smalls, right? A small business incumbent that's not eligible to compete on this contract again. So an example is a small that's now large, or an 8A that has graduated. I just found an opportunity prepping for this training where it's like a, I don't know, $50 or $80 million contract that went 8A. And I'm like, and actually it went 8A sole source, and I'm about to show it to you. But the thing is, people go, I went to ANC or something. It's like, who cares? Go find yourself an ANC, team up and try to go after it. It's better to get a piece of something than to stand back and complain that it's going to somebody else. Just go make friends with that type of business. And then the last two, right? The contracts you should look for are ones that went to a large business that, in my opinion, should go to a small. So anything that is $20 million and less should go to a small business. When I say 20 million, you're talking about probably a $4 million a year spend. Any experienced small business can support that. There are many small businesses doing 10, 20, and $30 million a year that could easily handle that. And so I'm looking for large contracts that were awarded to other than small business in my space, so that maybe I can bump them out of there, right? I want to push that incumbent out. And then the last one is, if it went small last time and it's in my space, that's a good one for me to be looking at if it's a slam dunk, because I don't have to convince the government to use small. They already went small, right? And I would love it if it had 5 or 10 people competing. I don't mind competing. I like it, because if you're good at what you do, then it will show on your proposals. So finding something that already went small is good. Okay, so let me just give you really quickly how I search for contracts, a little step-by-step approach. You can screen capture this yourself, but this is what I'm going to show you in 2 seconds. I go into FPDS. If you don't know this, the Federal Procurement Data System is the data source for contracts that have been awarded in the government space. USA Spending, which is a great tool, is just a front end, a GUI is what we call it. It just makes the FPDS data look pretty, but FPDS is where the data is at. That's where I want you to go. Always make sure you develop your skills in that tool. So I go in, I'm going to search on a keyword. Today I'll use administrative support. In red, I put the fields I'm going to use. Description of the requirement is where I'm trying to find the keyword. So that way my keyword doesn't come up in somebody's company name. Then I'm going to filter by date. I only want it to be 6 months out. So I'm going to go to April through the end of next year and say anything expiring from April to December next year, show me. And that's called an estimated completion date. There's multiple date fields in there. This one here, the estimated completion date, generally is the base plus the 4 option years, if that's what it's looking at. The estimate is that's when that entire contract's completed. Last one I use, number 4 here, is I'm going to filter it by NAICS code. And I'm going to do these 3 in increments so you can see what it's like. But with NAICS codes, I'm going to use 541611, which is basically administrative support. The reason I do that is because if I just search for administrative support, which you'll see, I'll get a lot of unrelated things in weird NAICS codes. It's because somebody threw that word in, like, go to the moon and back and make sure you do administrative support. It's like, all right, that's not the contract I can win. I could do the admin support, but not the moon. So that's called principal NAICS code. So these are the 3 fields you'll see me filter on. Then I sort it by value. I put here number 5, be realistic on the value. When I sort it, I'm going to see these ones that are, let's say, north of 100 million. Like, I can't go after those. You've got to know what size total contract value you can realistically go after, right? So I said that $80 million one that I liked. Well, the reason I like it and I'll go after it is because I'm going to go find a prime contractor, probably an A and C, who can do it. Well, now I'm just trying to get 10 or 20 million off of it, right? So it's down back to my reasonable size. You want to know how big a contract vehicle. Don't bother putting big total contract value numbers into your pipeline. You're just not going to win them, but you spend a lot of time. Compared to if you find a whole bunch of $5 to $10 million opportunities, let's say, then the chances of you winning them are much more realistic in your eyes and the government's. Last thing I do is I just do a validation that the opportunities I'm looking at meet my slam dunk criteria. And so I'm looking for an initial fit. You'll see me do it really, really fast, but it's just far enough for me to be able to push this opportunity onto a short list where I say, now I call it unqualified. And I'll talk about this later this week, but when I go from unqualified to qualified is when I'm going to see, is the government intending to recompete this? Are they still interested in the work? Things like that. That's what helps me get to a qualified lead. Here, I'm just trying to decide, do I want to put it in the pipeline at all? Okay, so let me go to the next slide. Got a link. This makes it perfect. Okay, really quick, this is GovCon in a box. Go here to number 2 and get your visibility score. It's at govconinabox.com. I really want you to sit there and get your score up to 100. When you do, I'll sit there and shout it out to my 32,000 connections on LinkedIn. Okay, so the first thing I said is I come in here and I search. If you haven't used FPDS, this is what the search looks like. I'm going to do an advanced news search because I said I want to do a field. So I'm zooming in a little bit so you can see this. So, by the way, I might have gone too fast for you. I'm just on fpds.gov right here in the enter thing. I don't do anything but click in it and hit the enter key, and it takes me here. Now I'm going to the advanced button, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see, and I'm going to say, show me a new search, add, and the first field I wanted to add was, what did we say that was? I already forgot. Description of requirements. So, description of requirements. There you go. And it's like admin. Thank you. There you go. So I already did this once. So I search this, right? And when I search it, if you see here, I got 100,000 opportunities coming back or awards. And so that's good, but that's not enough for me. So I'm going to go back to advanced research, and I'm going to search within the existing results. So I'm just going to add another filter. And so here I'm going to say date signed. And I'm going to change it from, it probably has it filled out, April to December. I'm loving this. And now I'm going to go, hey, come on. What happened? Something happened. Let me just try it one more time just to make sure. Date signed. Well, if it doesn't work, just go back. Okay. Come on, work for me. This is embarrassing. I'm live. Okay, date signed. Maybe I'll just pick it on purpose. So 4/1/2025 to 12/31/2025. How on? Oh, okay. So almost every single mistake, you can take it all the way back to the user. In my case, let me hit advanced search. The field I want is estimated completion date, not date signed. I'm asking it for it to show me something that's signed in the future. How is that possible? All right, so it is live. I think I told you that. Estimated completion date. Let's go here. Now I search. I go from 100,000 down to 2,128. And that sounds cool, right? But let's sort this really quick by action obligation. If you're not familiar with the sorting side, come on. Let me pull it up here. For those of you who are kind of new to it, make sure it's descending. So biggest number to smallest number. And here I'm sorting by action obligation. So let me zoom back out for 1 second. So this is where I started looking at some of this stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, security guard, patrol services, and computer systems. I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for. These are not there. So let me come in and do the last thing. Zoom out and add one more here. It's the NAICS code, and actually it's not. Let's do primary. Oh, that's funny. Let me just get it. So NAICS code is like 541611 tab. So the field I'm choosing is NAICS code. Let me just bounce over here. And the cool part, what I'm tracking, right, is you've got this name here. And so there's two different names. Even though I searched on NAICS, I was getting a little confused for a second because I was searching for principal, but it only shows NAICS. So let's come back in here. We're already descending on our searches. I've got 500 results. And if I come in here and look at this, if I just pick this first one and I go in, this is the one I'm saying is $80 million. It's with DHA, Defense Health. But what I want to do is come down here to the description and see, is it around what I'm looking for? So provide administrative support for financial operations, budget data modeling, optimization, and general fund enterprise business systems. So there's probably a level of technology that's in there for sure, or a subject matter expertise in there, but there's a huge portion of work that I can do. I can see this was 8A sole source right here to one offerer, and there's a really good chance because it's in DOD. Let me come back up for a second. That since it's in DOD, that it is that is set aside to an 8A company, right? But it doesn't matter. I like this opportunity. I'm putting in my short list. Here's some people's names I can follow up with, etc. I can see this company here, right? So these guys here, I might go out and try to pursue them on DSBS to see, and let me look at them on USA Spending. But if I go to DSBS, any state, actually, let me reset this. If I go to DSBS and try to find them, I can find them here, and I can see that they're no longer an 8A. So this was a sole source to 8A. I'm able to see that. If I come back for a second, I just want to show you this. Action obligations. It got rid of my NAICS code here. Let me get that guy in there really quick. 541611. Search it. Action obligation. Okay, so there's that one. But really, if I come down and I start looking at smaller ones, right? Here's a Leidos one. And this is interesting. If I see Leidos, it's like, is it super sophisticated? Remember I said if it's a large business, which Leidos is, why do they have this? And there's 500 opportunities or whatever I'm looking at. So it takes some time to view. So this was 35 million. So it's bigger. So it's $5 million a year, basically. But if I come down here, so it's logistical, operational, administrative, labor support. I'd be really curious on why a small business couldn't do that. Small business doing $10 or $20 million a year who wouldn't have that ability to do that. This was on some vehicle, but the key for me is how can you go into this contract shop? So this was for, sorry, I'm looking at it. I can't totally tell. Asper. So Asper, I think that's HHS. I mean, I can find it in 1 second. I think it's an agency. But the point is I can go find the contracting officer or whoever's tracking on this and begin to pursue it and see if I can't push it off. This contract doesn't expire until 2025. And because of that, I can be able to reach out to the government and see if there's ways to build relationships. I might reach out to Leidos. If I can't push it off, maybe I can get together with Leidos and get in on their subcontract, et cetera. I'm just watching the time. When you go in, like I'm literally going to do this for a particular customer today. I'm going to spend an hour going through what I just showed you. And these three fields within FPDS will help me find a bunch of expiring contracts. I can come back now and change administrative support to something else. Maybe I'm looking for legal staffing or FOIA requests, things like that are related to the administrative support work I know my customer does. Well, I can start finding these opportunities. And what I'm trying to do is to get to a certain stage of opportunities in the pipeline that will guarantee that we have enough in the pipeline to pursue in order to achieve our revenue goals. So just remember, as you go forward, that revenue goals need your sales goals to be hit. So revenue needs sales, and sales, we need to be writing proposals. So we can't write proposals unless we've got a solid pipeline of slam dunk opportunities your company can win. And that's what I want you to have in there. Hey, last thing I want you to remember or just know about is next week we're doing all innovation with Army, Air Force, DARPA, missile defense, and DOD. And so we're talking about innovation dollars, cyber dollars. If that's something you're interested in, make sure you track it on my profile so you hear about the training as you go into your day. Just remember, government contracting, it is not a secret. It's just a process. I will see you next time.